Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. It's the show that still can't get over this guy jumping 25,000 feet without a parachute.
Momentarily, we'll see his jump team pull their chutes, and that means Luke is all alone for the rest of the way. Luke is on his own. And the crowd on the ground looking up, they have a visual on him right now. He's in!
First of all, I'm not jumping 2.5 feet unless there's like pillows waiting for me. And second, no really, he jumped 25,000 feet without a parachute. And it was for like the world record. Like, what was the old record? 25 feet? Let's start with some hot takes. Congratulations to Italian artist Salvatore Garou. He sold an invisible sculpture of a Buddha in contemplation for $18,000. According to Garou, it exists even if you can't see it in its 5x5 space, and if you try to empty it, the space or the energy and whatnot is still around us because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. I don't know. I didn't watch Breaking Bad, so I don't get it. Anyways, if you thought this bit was ridiculous, move right along. If you think yes, there is value in the invisible, I've got some NFTs you might be interested in. Quick, before it crashes again. In this week's Maybe AEW Needs a Sneaker Consultant segment, somebody in their social team posted a Kenny Omega fits as Young Bucks sneakers thread, which, okay, fine. It's a gimmick we've seen 1,000 times on social media, but the problem was that it wasn't Young Bucks sneakers, it was Air Jordans. Now, maybe AEW can't legally say Jordans, but man, you cannot call them Young Bucks sneakers. And not only that, whoever came up with these side-by-side images is obviously new to the game, because not only are the sneakers just the most hyped pairs of the past few months, none of them even match Kenny's outfits. Call me Tony Khan, I'll be all elite. WWE's got The New Day, Carmella, and Shane McMahon. They're not short on sneakerheads over there. An LG Smart TV app made the rounds on sneaker Twitter this week because it apparently gave you the ability to buy the sneakers that the players were wearing. It's a cool feature, and even if buying stuff that you see on a TV via an on-screen app isn't an entirely new thing, what I want to know is where can I find those Kobe 5 Bruce Lees that they claim Tobias Harris is wearing for $245 in my size? And also, what's going to happen if it's the Bucks game and PJ Tucker is on, or when Trae Young was lighting up MSG with his still unreleased Adidas signature shoes? Sounds like an opportunity for Nike and Adidas if you ask me. And now for a quick card talk segment. The WNBA's New York Liberty are currently near the top of the Eastern Conference, and a large part of their success is the play of Sabrina Ionescu. The second-year player out of Oregon had her rookie season cut short with an injury, but now she's back and living up to the hype of a #1 overall pick and disciple of the late Kobe Bryant. Her Panini Silver Prism cards were selling for around $130 to $170 ungraded prior to the season, but after her stellar play, recent eBay sales have shown it going for double and nearly triple. It's crazy to think it could even go higher, but I think she's going to have to take the team deep in the playoffs for that to happen. So this has been your quick card talk segment that I wrote after the invisible sculpture gave me a headache and I needed to go back to something real and tangible that I could hold. Kyrie Irving stomped the Boston Celtics into a whole new regime after his Brooklyn Nets eliminated them from the playoffs in convincing fashion. Now, I know there's a whole discussion about the things Kyrie said and the things Boston did in retaliation for what Kyrie said, and what Kyrie did to return the favor, and what an idiot Celtic fan did in a bootleg Kevin Garnett jersey thought was a good idea to get back at Kyrie. I get that. I understand. And it's a deep conversation that requires a lot of nuance and good faith on both sides. Last thing I want to see or hear is someone doing the equivalent of a "what about Chicago" and saying every city has problems. No, this city has problems, and maybe look within before talking about other places and wondering why this narrative about this city keeps getting brought up. But as a fan of the 17-time world champion Los Angeles Lakers, thanks Kyrie. Sure, my team isn't winning their 18th championship this season since we got whooped by the Phoenix Suns, but it's okay. I'm just gonna be over here watching that meme of Kyrie's face superimposed on Michael Jackson as he's stomping Lucky. Oh, and if somebody can either make or send me a link of Robert Horry throwing a towel at Danny Ainge but with Kyrie's head instead of Big Shot Bob's, I would appreciate that. Before we move on, I just want to give a quick shout out to Coach Mike Krzyzewski. The iconic college basketball figure is retiring at the end of next season and leaves behind a legacy that is going to be pretty hard, if not impossible, to match. Between the national championships, the consistent run of excellence, and his gold medal runs as coach of Team USA, maybe his greatest accomplishment was his ability to recruit and successfully merge annoying-ass tryhards like Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner, Shane Battier, and Grayson Allen, along with cool kids like Grant Hill, JJ Redick, Kyrie Irving, and Zion Williamson. Well, JJ was annoying as hell in college and was cool when he got to the NBA, but whatever. Congrats on an amazing run, Coach K. So, a few weeks ago, we got our first look at the Nike Kobe 6 Protro Mambacita, a shoe that honors the life of Gianna Bryant. It's a black and white pair that included Gigi's name and jersey number, along with Kobe's name in gold and the Mamba Academy team logo. According to Vanessa Bryant's Instagram post, she designed the shoes and that 100% of the proceeds from the sale will go to the Mamba and Mambacita Sports Foundation. However, since the Bryant estate and Nike could not come to an agreement on a new deal back in April, it's likely the shoes were never going to see an official drop unless Nike got Vanessa's okay for that to happen. Kind of like the recent undefeated Kobe 5 Hall of Fame release. Why would they need Vanessa's approval? Well, because while Nike owns the design of the Kobe 6, obviously in the case of the Mambacita shoes, the Bryant estate owns the Mamba logo they used on the heel, while the sheath logo on the tongue is co-owned by the Bryants and Nike. However, images have made their way online and some outside parties have gotten their hands on the shoes, much to Vanessa's disappointment. In the same IG post, Vanessa states that she did not approve the sale of these shoes, nor did she give the go-ahead for them to be made. Even she doesn't have pairs of the shoes for herself and her family, so she probably thought that no one else had them either. This has not surprisingly caused a stir online, with people giving their thoughts on the matter, with most, if not all, of the vitriol being directed towards Nike. The assumption by many was that Nike was going to selfishly go ahead with the sale of these shoes, even though they no longer had an agreement with Vanessa and the Bryant estate. But the truth is, while they should receive most of the blame for making the shoes that probably should not have been made in the first place, a lot of what is going on right now is actually out of Nike's hands. According to Sneaker News, the images were discovered by Twitter user @Brandon through some digging of footwear shop's internal servers. Those images belong to Foot Patrol, a store based in the UK. Considering these are their official images, a few things could be in play here. The first is that Foot Patrol received a sample pair from Nike to basically get a look at them and to take pictures to hype them up for when they were eventually going to go on sale. The second is that Foot Patrol already has their allotment of these Protros and uploaded the pictures way too early. As it turns out, it was the latter. So how did any store get them in the first place? Well, production lead times for sneakers can range from 6 to 9 months before they actually release. Vanessa actually experienced this on a smaller scale earlier this year when she had Nike specially made USC Kobe 4s for her daughter Natalia after she was accepted. In the video, you can hear Vanessa say it took Nike 3 months to make them. It's likely that Nike made the Mambacita 6s and possibly other Kobe 6s with the confidence that they were going to renew their deal with Vanessa and the Bryant estate. My guess is that these Mambacita 6s would have been the first shoe released to signify that extension. Did Nike get ahead of themselves? Yes. Were they wrong to do so? Well, that's hard to say. In an Instagram reply, Vanessa said, "Nike told us that the shoes were made after I saw them posted online, but they were never supposed to be sold." So now Nike is basically stuck with however many pairs of the Mambacita Protros they had made and whatever amount they had shipped out to retailers. And I sincerely doubt that those stores that have them now have any intention of returning them unless Nike threatens to take away their Tier 0 status or whatever they call accounts now that get a chance to stock their super rare kicks. Now, why Nike didn't send at least some of those pairs that were made to Vanessa and her family? That's a head scratcher for sure. However, an Instagram account called LA Souls acquired the shoes and they claim that they got the Mambacita sneakers weeks earlier from someone who won a Foot Patrol raffle for the Del Sol Protro 6 and were sent the Mambacitas on accident. MJo3Dan on Twitter received an email from somebody who got the Mambacita shoes accidentally with the attached follow-up from Foot Patrol stating their error. Call it hubris and a lack of understanding of the unique nature of these negotiations, but when the deal didn't go through, Nike brought this upon themselves and created an issue of unreleased Kobe sneakers just sitting in warehouses. And when something like that happens, it was inevitable that someone, either purposely or by accident, with zero ties to Nike or Vanessa, was going to find a way to get these shoes. Leakers and early pairs have been a shady part of the sneaker culture ever since the early days. The adrenaline rush and likes and follows a clout chaser gets from having a sneaker early, no matter the circumstances behind the shoe, is too intoxicating to pass up. Team early is not just a hashtag, it's a real problem sometimes, and this might be the most saddest example of it yet. Look, the bottom line and sad reality here is that we are going to see more and more leaks of these shoes as the notoriety for owning a pair increases. In the time between the shoes first appearing online and Vanessa issuing a response, the shoes have already been sold on a reseller platform. I find it hard to blame them for this because before Vanessa's post, they probably thought since the shoes were made, these would eventually be sold through the proper channels like any other Nike release. Selling them now? That's a different story. But after this debacle, I would not be surprised if all the platform holders banded together to halt sales in order to avoid the public relations nightmare and bad optics that would be involved. It's a bad situation for Vanessa and her family, and it's not a good look for Nike, who absolutely should not have gone ahead with producing these shoes when they were still trying to work out a new contract with the Bryant estate. And now we could be in a situation where both sides could be lawyering up and having it in court. Honestly, when I saw these leaks for the first time, I took it as a sign that maybe things were moving along and that there was hope that a new deal was going to be signed or was already done. Turns out, that wasn't the case at all, and I honestly don't see any chance at reconciliation anytime soon between the two parties, if ever. It's the Heat Check, where we bring you everything that's dropping this week. First up, we have the Adidas Yeezy 700 MNVN Bright Cyan on the 7th for $220. According to Design.ai, Bright Cyan is a bright, lively green blue, making it a wonderful addition to designs. It is typically associated with liveliness, youth, and energy, and is often interchanged with turquoise. It works well with deep pinks and teals to create bright color palettes. It can also be matched with deep yellows and light purples to tone down its electric character. Then we have the women's Nike Air Max Furiosa on the 8th for $160. I'm sure it's all a coincidence and all, but if Nike doesn't go ahead and create a tie-in Furiosa with the Y colorway for the upcoming Mad Max spin-off movie starring Charlize Theron's character Furiosa with an I, that's going to be a major missed opportunity. Then we have the Air Jordan 1 Mid Crimson Tint on the 8th for $115. If you missed out on the Crimson Tint ones, which I honestly feel like you shouldn't have because they were relatively easy to find, then you should appreciate this kind of, sort of, but not really energy this mid version gives. Then we have the Nike Dunk Low Sunset Pulse on June 10th for $100. Sunset Pulse sounds like the name of a late 80s crime drama, but it's not. It's actually yet another mismatched pair of dunks that I'm sure people will be itching to get, even if I don't understand the rhyme or reason to the colors and materials chosen on the upper. Then we have the Reebok Question Low Gray Toe. These are on the 10th as well for $120. The iconic Question Lows get a retro of sorts, as the Gray Toe first released in 1999. However, this 2021 edition features a patent leather toe instead of suede in the OGs. Not sure how purists will take that. What am I saying? Of course I know how they feel, and it's not good, even though these are nice. Then we have the Pharrell Williams Adidas NMD Hue on June 11th for $220. For a deeper look at this latest human-made NMD, which is still going strong after all these years, check out my double unboxing video that also includes a wild Happy Gilmore collab that nobody could have seen coming. Then we have the Adidas Yeezy Boost 700 Inflame Amber on the 11th for $240. According to dictionary.com, inflame means to kindle or excite, while amber, well, it's amber. According to Wikipedia, it's a fossilized tree resin that has been appreciated for its color and natural beauty since Neolithic times. Then we have the Air Jordan 1 Light Fusion Red on the 12th for $170. I feel like an opportunity is being lost here with no prominent member of the Atlanta Hawks having a big-time Jordan deal. Could you imagine if it was Trae Young? I bet Nike is kinda sorta wishing for that right now after his performance in the playoffs. Then my pick of the week is the Nike Dunk Low Free 99 on the 8th for $110. So we're spotlighting this one not because I'm a big fan of this particular colorway of the dunk, but because the name is so misleading. Like, this should have been the time for Nike to take a page out of the Adidas Originals book and price these at 99 cents like they did with the Arizona Tea collab a while back. It would have been a good public relations move, especially if they dropped these in mass quantities. Consider it a consolation prize if you couldn't get the dunks you really wanted. At least that's my wishful thinking. And now for a heat check on the patent leather Air Jordan 1 Bread, what will most likely be the most popular shoe that will drop in 2021. It might not be the best selling shoe, that's usually like a pair of white on white Air Force Ones or whatever the holiday Jordan 11s are, but it will be the shoe release this year that you will see the most of on the feet of sneakerheads, hypebeasts, TikTokers, and really influencers who are about this life and have the wall of sneakers that came out within the last 2 years. Why? Because it's a Bread 1. They are on the Mount Rushmore of sneakers. They were on Michael Jordan's feet for the infamous band commercial, even though the black and red Nike Air ships are the actual band shoes, but that's a story for another 90-minute documentary. Sure, People love the Chicago ones and Royal ones, but the bread ones are the 1A of this three-way tie. Anytime there has been a retro in this century, there has been a rush to buy them. It doesn't matter if they are highs, lows, or mids with slight variations. Breads are breads and people want them badly. No, I'm not going to make any corny bread jokes because that's so 2019. Even though I am looking to re-up, especially since my 2016 pair has this weird glittery effect. But what has given a lot of people pause is that the upcoming Bread 1 Retro will drop into glossy platinum leather. It's a material that isn't unfamiliar to Jordan 1's fans, especially in the past 2 years, from the Gold Toes to the Soulflies to the UNCs. We've seen and gotten familiar with the idea of patent leather on the Air Jordan 1s. And if you're an older sneakerhead, you probably remember the 3-pack of patent leather 1 mids from like the early 2000s that was featured heavily in Brand Jordan magazines. Man, remember the early 2000s? Remember Brand Jordan? Remember magazines? Anyways, unless there are some super secret player exclusives out there that I am unaware of, this is the first time that a proper OG colorway of the Air Jordan 1 High is getting the patent leather treatment. That, coupled with people understandably wishing that these were just the standard ones as they were in the 80s, is contributing to the frustration. But those cries are going to fall on deaf ears because there will be enough people who will buy this that it will be worth it for Nike to hold off on another proper Bread 1 retro for at least another few years. Even the same fans who are bummed out about this news are going to find themselves more than likely trying to grab these in October because of FOMO and their expected resale value. So try as we might to restrain ourselves, I don't think this is going to force Nike to all of a sudden change course and bake some fresh new breads. Sorry, I couldn't resist at the end there. I give the upcoming patent leather Bread 1s 7 Jordan 1 mids out of 10 Jordan 1 Flyknits. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go. And it's an old favorite, stores making people do stunts to buy shoes. This past week, Concepts from Boston had people line up for their Yeezy foam runner drop, which, okay, fine. I personally was never one to line up for anything, especially in a world when a pandemic is still going on and people are getting way too comfortable, but that's just me being cautious. If that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative. Anyways, it turns out being in line didn't mean anything because according to people who were there, the store picked out people from the line randomly and then had them do push-ups in order to purchase the slides. Like, huh? What is that about? You don't announce beforehand that these are the launch procedures and then you're gonna shame the people who want to buy your stuff? Not cool. Not something I would ever be involved in, but to a certain degree, it is what it is. Until I saw this one particular comment from someone who was on MJo23Dan's Twitter saying that what if he had the chance to get the Yeezys but he couldn't do the push-ups because of his disability? Would the store actually deny the person the Yeezys even if they knew the person could not physically do it? I don't think they would risk the bad PR from being so about this life, but you never know sometimes. But thinking about how something like this stunt would affect those with disabilities is something I never thought about before. Even when I covered something similar to this over a year ago when stores were not including boxes or forcing people to do skate tricks to buy coveted SB Dunks. That's my era, and I promise to be more considerate in the future when it comes to this situation. Like, what really is the value of making them do push-ups? Is it some weird ritual that proves you are about this sneaker game, or is it just a stunt for laughs, and if so, it'll be covered on social media? Like, it's one thing when Union asks you what's the color of an orange in an online form in order to buy Jordan 4s. It's another thing to say make somebody eat an orange peel in order to buy Inflame Amber 700s. Like, I just do not have the time for these clown shows anymore. Then again, I guess I never did. And now, hopefully, I'll also be more aware of those who wouldn't be able to do said stunts as well when I talk about these things in the future. Because while I can do 100 push-ups if I really wanted those Yeezys, it's not about me. All right, and that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week, but not before I show you a parrot. Just jam into the old school. I'll see you next week. Peace.